Okay, I already have my folder added here. If not, you can just go here, open folder, and then just select that folder. So I'm going to create a new file called sheet.js. It's just a normal file. I'm going to go here, go to cmd command prompt or terminal in the Macintosh, and then I'm just going to write, and I'm just going to, sorry, I'm in the wrong file. So I'm going to cd dot come back and then cd into my YouTube project, then cd into sheet integration. I'm just going to this file here. It's nothing other than that. I'm going to do npm init. What it does, it creates a simple package.json. So we're going to go here. We're just going to give enter for everything. Yes. Okay. Let's create a package.json. It's going to come here. If you open this, you'll be able to see package.json. And then we're going to now what we're going to do is we're going to do npm I is a short form for install. You could write install or write I, and we're just going to npm I express. Express is a famous module, like almost most of the projects require that, so we're going to install that. We definitely require that, so we're going to install that. After we install that, we need some other files like npm like some files to use Dialogflow Fulfillment. You need some files, so we're going to install those files. Okay. Yes. Okay. So after you install that, you need actions on Google, and what actions on Google is, basically you need that for the proper functioning of the Dialogflow Fulfillment. So you just install whatever it tells you. It's not a big file, so we're just going to install it. After we install these, we can just require them into our code, and then we can start working with them. So if you don't know how to do that, I'll just explain you. It's very easy stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to do npm I. The final thing is request. You need request here for this. And npm I request promise native. So when you do it with the Dialogflow, if you're we have it, an error comes up if you do it any other method. So that's why I'm choosing this method. I feel this is the easiest method, so that's why I'm telling you to install these files. After you've done it, you could just close the cmd. We don't want to read it, so we're going to sheet.js. So we just to check it. So we have actions, Dialogflow, express, request, and request. Okay, these are the things we need. So now we're just going to go in and we're just going to require everything. So we're going to write a constant called express. We're going to require. So what the require does is it takes information from that library and saves it to this thing, to this constant. So okay, and then constant constant app equal to, okay, and then now we're going to require another one. So I'm just going to name it RP. RP stands for request promise. You can name it anything. I'm just going to request promise is going to be equal to require that thing, request promise native. Okay, that's good. And now we're gonna require the Dialogflow Fulfillment. So the Dialogflow Fulfillment is here. I'm just gonna copy paste that to reduce time waste. Okay, now we're done. So now we're gonna start writing code. So we're gonna say app.post because the Dialogflow is gonna post to us. So that's why it's app.post, and it's gonna post to the home URL because that's what we're defining it to be. And then it is a you're gonna define a callback function. It has both request and response. So I'm gonna write request and response. Okay. So the request is whatever the Dialogflow sends us. The response is whatever we send the Dialogflow back. So I'm just gonna write a function here and then call it inside the app.post to make it a little cleaner. Nothing else. You can just straight away go and do it here, but I'm just gonna do it like this. So I'm defining a function called Dialogflow. I'm using the arrow function syntax because that's a bit popular now. You could use the normal function too, it's not a big deal. Okay. So I'm gonna give this, I'm gonna write it. So we're gonna create a constant called agent. The agent is like we create an agent in the front end, like in the user way, like using Dialogflow in the previous videos. But this thing is to create in the back end. We're just defining what it means in the back end. So it's actually a webhook client. So the DFF is this thing, which means it is the library, and dot means it's a method of that, or it's something that's defined inside it. So we're gonna say webhook client, and this is gonna have two parameters to choose that. So it's gonna be a request and response. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say, let's say, now if you want you could, so now if you console log this request and you call this function inside here, you're gonna receive a request, you're gonna receive something. So we need to know what that is, because from there, that request, we will take the name, because the name is inside the request. So but that's a lot of work, so that's why the Dialogflow offers a solution called diagnostic info. The diagnostic info is basically what you will get if you do a console log here. If you just console log this request and then you call this function inside here, you'll get that. That's what it means. So that's a lot of work, so we'll just do, if you have free time, you can just try it out. So what we're gonna do, this is inside the body, and if you do it in the command prompt, if you try it, you'll see it's inside the body. So that's why we say body dot this dot that. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is body dot query result. So the dot means it goes one level deep. So if I give dot body dot, it's gonna see everything inside this thing. So if I give something that body, it's gonna see this whole thing. Okay, but what I want is curly braces, this whole curly braces. Inside that, everything it's gonna see, because that's the body. No, but we want something here. So to get that, we're gonna write dot body dot query result. So after you write query result, it's gonna look within this. So inside that, we don't want the query text, we want it from parameter. So you write dot parameter. So now it's gonna look within this, and there you're gonna say name, and you're gonna get this. So that you're gonna get it. It's a bit difficult to understand the first time, but you'll just understand it immediately. If you've tried a few times, you'll understand it properly. So now what we're gonna do is you're gonna create a function. This is like the main function, so I'm gonna create a sub function here. I'm gonna name it demo. You can name it anything. It's gonna have this value agent. We're gonna pass the agent in, and then we're gonna create a constant called name. It's gonna be equal to request. Why request? Because request is what it's sent. So request dot body. Why body? Because we saw that it's in the body. And then query result. Why query result? Because we want to see inside the query result. And then dot parameters, because we're inside the parameters. And then dot name, I guess. Yes, that name. Okay. It's capped. Okay, it's capped. You gotta be careful with these. Okay. Oops. Okay, this is the name. So this value will be the name. This will be mark for this example. Now what we're gonna do is you're gonna create another constant called URL. Why URL? Because we need to send that URL. So we're gonna create a URL. this URL will be here. Just a second. Okay, so we thought this thing works perfectly fine. We're gonna write a proper one. Let's say mark. Okay, it works. Just checking it. So we're gonna copy this thing completely, and then we're gonna go here. But we don't want to search mark all the time. We want to search whatever they gave that name. So to do that, we're gonna just concatenate this. Oops, yeah, we're just gonna concatenate this with that. So I'm gonna plus name. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna add name here, and then it's gonna search it. So that will be whatever we want. So that's perfectly working fine. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna do return. So whenever you call this function, if you write a return, it'll return this value there. So we're writing return because we're gonna call this function, and then this function is gonna run this, and then we're gonna return. So return. The RP stands for the request promise native. It's here. So, and we saw that we want to get information, so it's .get. We're not posting anything, we're just getting information. And you have to pass in the URL. So that's the URL there. Instead of you could just copy paste it directly. It looks neat if I do it like this. I declare it and then do it. So that's why I'm doing it. Okay. So you have to remember that it's a promise. So it's a promise. You just think like a promise in real life. You could either fulfill it or you could reject it. So we write the dot then for what do you have to do if it is correct. Like what should we do if it works perfectly fine, or what if the promise is fulfilled, what do you have to do. So like let's imagine that he gives the name that is actually there, it works properly. So then what should I do? That's the dot then. So we're gonna define what it has to do. So it is gonna be sorry, this is gonna be I'm just gonna say body plus a message. So we're gonna get this message, and we're gonna create a constant called body, in which we will just make this into the pretty form and save it as body. So parse, and then I'm going to send whatever I want to make it beautiful, which is this. So now that it's beautiful, now I'm going to go to the main part, which is okay. I'm going to give something like, let's say mark. So it's going to load it up. Okay, so now that if this is correct and it matches, we want these details to be sent to the user. So this is a list. Inside a list, it's a object. So it's a list which contains only one thing. So everything is going to be in index 0, and inside that, if you click dot and we go here, we'll be able to get it. You could just use this, but if you don't have the JSON Viewer Pro, then you could use it. You can do it manually, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do it manually for you guys to see how it works. So I'm going to get a constant called grade, which will be equal to body dot, because it's saved in body. So body dot, not body dot, body 0. So now we're taking index 0 because there's only one thing. And then if you give a dot, you're going to go one step in, and then you're going to put grade, and you're going to just grade, and I'm going to do the same thing again and again. I'm just going to copy paste it. I'm going to create grade, and then we could get subject. It'll be dot subject, and then a city, and that city will be equal to dot city. Now once we got all of these details, we're going to use a new thing called agent dot add. What it does is it adds whatever statement we want to into the file. Just say his. We're just going to say the person's is in, and then I'm going to add the grade, and then I'm going to say grade, and he is studying. I'm just creating the response that it has to send to the user when he does the correct thing. So that's all. It's not anything complex. And he's studying subject, and then I'm going to say and he lives in, and then I'm going to write city. That's it. And now we have done all of this, but we've never really done the app.listen. So I'm going to do that. App.listen is we're telling which port we are going to be up at. So I'm going to say 3000, and I'm going to say it's always just an empty function. So I'm going to log that we are live so that we could see if it's working or not. We are live. Okay, so now what it does is if you're live, it's going to show it us. So but we didn't do one big step, which is we didn't call the function inside, so we're not going to call the function. Also, there's one step you have to do. I'm going to tell it to you now, just a second. I'll call it and I'll tell you. Response. Okay, I'm going to change it to request because it confuses me sometimes. If you keep it as rest, you have to keep this as rest, so I instead keep everything as request. Okay guys, now the final step we're gonna do is simple stuff. We're just gonna go and we're gonna declare let intent map. So what is intent map? Well, we're gonna say which intent should be, which function should be run when a particular intent is triggered. So for example, if we have only one intent, so it's not a big deal. But if you have multiple intents, then you want one intent to do one stuff. So that's why we're doing this. It's just gonna map it so that we know which intent. So I'm gonna say intent.set. Now you'll understand it better. So I'm gonna set this thing will be here, this string. This will be the name of the intent, and this will be the name of the function that we want. This thing is here, demo. So we want, if I'm gonna just select the name of it's detail with the D caps. Okay, so it's detail. So if detail is triggered, like a detail intent is triggered, it's straight away going to go to demo, and demo is going to be run, which is this whole thing. Okay, now we're going to say agent dot handle request. I'm just going to say it to handle the request, and I'm going to say intent map. That's it. We're done. So now I'm just going to check it if everything's correct or not before executing. Okay, I found one mistake. So I forgot to tell you guys, the request that we got, it's actually in the ugly form. So to make it in the pretty form, you could just write here .json and then another comma, and it's gonna work perfectly fine. You can also do it like this, or you could just go here, enter, and then you can write request is actually equal to request json.parse request. That is the same thing. I'm just writing it here. It's a short form, it's a new form. So yeah, that's it. And after that, we are actually ready to go. So why, if you get confused, it's nothing. This request that we got, it's actually in the ugly form, same like this. So we just convert it to the JSON good form by writing this code. You just write it here with a comma properly and it's going to work perfectly fine. So we are on 3000, port 3000, so I have to remember that. So I'm going to go to wherever my file is. I'm just inside there in CMD. You could use that, you could use CD to go there. After there, just click write node and then type the name of the file you want to run, which is street.js, and then we're going to see real life. So this is the real life. So that means it's working perfectly fine till now. So we didn't post yet, so we don't know if that works now, but this works perfectly fine. So now I'm going to go to wherever I have my ngrok, and I'm going to write ngrok.exe http 3000 because that's what I want as a URL. So I'm going to select all, and I'm going to go here, I'm going to take this. Okay, that's the link. I got the link now. So now we're going to go to, this is my Dialogflow. I'm going to go to fulfillment. Okay, you have to enable this. You have to paste it, and then you have to write save. Okay, maybe I forgot the yes. Yeah. So it has to be HTTPS and that, or else it'll show an error. And after that, okay. So now that is done. I'm gonna try it. I want the details of Steve. Let's see if it works. Okay, it says the person is in 5th grade and he's studying math and he lives in Chicago. We'll just go and check it if it's correct. Okay, he's 5th math Chicago. Now let's just try Jacob. I want the details of Jacob. He's in 9th grade and he's studying English and he lives in Texas, which will be correct. Okay, so that means you've done it. Now what if I say I want the details of, let's say, any other name like Robin? It's not going to understand it because I've not said what you have to do if you're not correct. It's going to say not available, and here it's going to say, you know, unhandled promise rejection, something of that sort. So it's because it's saying grade is not defined, because if we call this like here, and if I give it a wrong name, I'm gonna get something like this. It's gonna be empty, so it doesn't understand what to do. So now I have to go and define that. That's the final step, and after that we're really done. Okay, so we're gonna go here. This is so the dot then is, I told you the promise is like a real life promise. You can accept it or reject it. So if you accept it, you have to do this and it does it properly. But if you reject it, you didn't tell it what to do. So I'm going to now define that. So you have to write catch to do that. So we is a error. If we catch the error, and then what you have to do is go here. Sorry. You have to do, you're going to do agent.add. Sorry. Process failed. You're just going to say that. And you're going to just save it, and then we're going to go here. Each time you do it, you have to rerun it. Okay, we're live. Now we're going to go to, we have to see if it works. Okay, so I'm going to say I want, same thing, I want the details of Robin, and it should say sorry, process failed. So now you know how to do a complete integration of your database or sheets and your Dialogflow with no errors. So you can add anything here. You could say console log error. If you do that, you can just log the error and you will be able to see the error, like what the error is, and it'll be like, I didn't find anything that's the error. So but this is what is important, so that we don't just, or we could say, actually the correct thing we could say is like, we don't have the detail of whom you searched. So that makes it properly. searched. Come on. Yeah. And now it's gonna say the same thing. If I say that I want the details of Robin, it's gonna say that. Oh, okay. I didn't rerun it. Sorry. I have to do this. We do node, and now it works. Now if I do that, it's gonna say whatever I just wrote. Okay. Now this is how you do it without inline iteration.